Hello my friends, family, esteemed colleagues. I was asked to elaborate a little bit about the brown spots on the skin. Now, brown spots on the skin, we used to call them sunspots. Well, but then how come that children seldom get them, and they are more prevalent to show up when we get older? Of course, some children will also be kind of affected by them. It's rare, but they can be also, they can receive those brown spots, sunspots. Well, now, lately, because it is just freaking too obvious that sun has probably nothing to do with those brown spots, they are calling them age spots or liver spots. And what is truth? And why people have those spots? Can they be prevented? Or can they be eliminated? Well, lately the science is pointing that brown spots on the skin are a product of glycation, of a sugar when it bonds to protein, and that for this bond you need sun exposure because you need this energy. And what happened is a process of glycation. Glycation is when a protein in the blood or in plasma bonds to a sugar. Now, glycation is also being blamed as being cause of aging problems, because we are being told, well, this usually in older people, connective tissue is going to kind of glycate because of age and loses elasticity. The same can happen in the blood vessels, and because of this glycation, blood vessels are going to lose elasticity, and there is really not much that can be done to prevent this. This is basically aging problem, and this is why brown spots also occur mostly on people over 50. Well, none of these explanations actually is correct, because those who propose that brown spots are caused by influence of ultraviolet violet light from sun onto the skin and calls them sunspots. The science behind it is that pigmentation occurs, and this pigmentation is not equally dispersed, being concentrated in small areas, causing the brown spots. Well, I wonder, when you take a steak and pop it on a hot plate and you start heating it, all of a sudden it starts turning to brown. You can do this at night. There is not ultraviolet light. How come that the meat is changing the color to brown? Why not to red? Why not to green or pink, but brown? Well, if glycation, the bond between protein and sugar, is the cause, And if sun has something to do with it, so combining them, and this creates a brown spot, a brown color. Well, is it then ultraviolet light that is causing this, or is it a heat? Whenever we are talking about science of medicine, we have to understand that since the premises, the science behind everything, it has been inverted. Every scientist becomes scientist because it's trying to prove something based on the science, inverted science. And we get lost in it. If you go into biochemistry, you can prove anything. You just have to figure out a little bit the formulas, play with them a little bit, and pop-a-doop, and you will find a way, because there are almost infinite possibilities there. So you will find a set of formulas that will show you how the glycation occurs and what is this. But then if the heat is involved, and if the glycation is the cause of a brown spot, which is the combining under heat protein with the sugar, where is the brown color coming from? Because obviously has nothing to do with the pigment, because meat on the hot plate, on a grill, turns brown. Well, my friends, there is nothing we can correctly explain as long as we are searching for the answers using science. We have to go in the field of truth. And then we can create a new science. And this field of truth has to incorporate our quantum understanding. Once when you take quantum in, everything becomes way more transparent. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% truth, because we are born in this environment we call reality, without really understanding how it was created, and then we are being misled that it all depends on atoms, which are fixed things. You cannot change one atom into another atom. It all depends on number of electrons and protons and neutrons. So you are talking about boxes. And then you have a variety of these boxes around, and now you have to try to figure out which boxes you put together so you can kind of get to the image or conclusion that you desire. This is our experimentation. And we completely forget that we are going to manifest what makes sense to our ego. If we find something that ego can swallow, it is going to manifest it for us. And nothing is better to show this than which I call the most relevant experiment ever conducted, which is the double slit experiment, in which you as an observer, you have the, or creator rather say, your ego understands if you take a ball and throw it on a wall, and the wall has two slits, openings on them, that the ball will go only through the slit. If it hits the wall, it's going to bounce back. It's not going to go through. And then if you have another wall behind, plain wall, and if the ball is dirty that you have, every ball that goes through the slit is going to make a mark on the wall behind. And if you throw many balls, you can take a whole bunch of balls together and throw them. Well, only the balls that goes through the slits will go through and make a mark, and the mark is going to resemble the mark of the slits. All the other balls are going to bounce back. So experiment was made in which electrons or photons were shot one by one. Okay, scientists made a machine that shoot single photons. At least that's what they thought they made. And they were shooting them through the wall with double slits, thinking that in the back they are going to find imprint of two slits. Well, when they went to check the back wall, they did not find any slits. They found a waveform. Like if something in a straight wave hit the wall with slits, and as what hit the wall bounced back, and what went through the slits, as a wave always does, it curves. So what went in a slit was curving this way and that way, and what went on the outside of the slit curved towards in. And as the curved waves now start hitting each other before they hit the back wall, there are going to be many imprints that will look like a code bar. So this is signal of wave being used. And they could not understand, well, we were shooting one by one electrons, how can we have wave there? So they put a little camera checking out on the slits. What happens now with these electrons? As soon as they put camera and observed, well, they got imprint of a slits on the back wall. How is that possible? So now quantum physicists, thinking that quantum field is a field where particles perform irrationally, erotically, without particular expectation. You don't know which way they're going to go. So they said, okay, what happens if we make the same experiment and we do not put the observation monitor on a slits but on a back wall, which means already the particles have to go through the slit, and then let's see how the wall, how the imprint of the wave occurs. Well, when they put observing mechanism, again, they did not receive waveform, they received slits. So what does it mean? That particles went like a wave through and then noticed that somebody is filming and they came back and went to the slit. How does that work? Well, this was a clear experiment proving that we as observers create the result of any experiment as long as our ego understands the process. And this was very simple. Our ego, we call it consciousness, but it's really only conscious of the reality, nothing else. was expected to see that, because this is what happens when you throw a ball. So if you are shooting single photon or electron, you should have the same thing. Well, but things are different, because when we go in small sizes, especially when we go into photon size or electron, well, this experiment proves us that they don't exist. We knew that our machine was shooting photon or electron. We knew it. Other experiments proved it. But actually, wave was shut out. Unless we start observing, and because we knew that we are shooting electron, and we knew that it will not penetrate the wall, it only can penetrate where the slot is, you are going to find imprint. But if you don't observe, it doesn't happen. Which means our instrument is not shooting out electrons, it's shooting waves. Energy is always in a waveform until the creator, you can call it observer, you can call it manifester, I don't care, it is creator. Because we create particle out of wave depending on our rational thinking. Because our rational thinking accepts only our reality. Doesn't accept anything that is not part of our reality, which means our visible field that we are born into, the only thing that we actually experience, because we don't experience quantum, not in a conscious state. So once when we start understanding this, then we understand another thing. As I explained, that we are electronic robots, and we are programmed, and we have sensors, and we actually convert electromagnetic frequencies into pictures and sensations of pain, heat, touch, smell. It's all based on frequency. Our robot is a computer that is programmed particular way, the particular frequencies it is going to convert. And we know that color is nothing more than representation of particular frequency. Now, we made this tablet of elements, and we put the elements there based on atomic values, and then when we mix these elements, we create compounds with different properties, not property of one or the other. And this way we create chemistry, our school chemistry, and physics, in which we are explaining now how a sugar, which is, we have explanation what sugar is. It's a combination of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, can interact with protein. We know what protein is. Also, combination of those plus phosphorus plus a different structure. Okay, now we are going into structure, position of atoms. And under heat, they can merge and create another compound. And this compound and this process of merging we call glycation. Well, what we have achieved actually one frequency that represents glucose or fructose combining energetically through heat, added heat, with a protein, another frequency, and by merging, now they create a different frequency. And this different frequency may, in combination of a frequency of the body where it is, radiate particular frequency that our eyes will show us in a form of brown color. We know that different frequency shows different colors. We know the basic frequencies, which are from red, yellow, green, blue, violet, which we see as a spectrum from sunlight. But we have another frequency. You can mix those colors in between, and you get the grays, you get browns, beige, you get all these other colors in between. Not too many, because our program is restricted to only few colors, which is going to change now because we are going through transformation. And after the transformation, we are going to be resonant in higher frequency. Our bodies are going to be different. We are being told that we are now on basically carbon structure. And now we are going to go into crystalline structure. Some say a different type of carbon, because carbon can be black stuff or could be diamond, crystal clear. Now, if that depends on a structure of atom of carbon, how the heck is that possible? You should have one particular set of properties. Well, because nothing is the way we are being told. So we are fishing in this land of nonsense because we do not accept truth. We do not accept spirituality. Only religion. Well, religion has nothing to do with spirituality. Religion uses a little bit of spirituality to control us, but religion is a set of laws for people to obey. And none of them are laws of God. God the Creator, the consciousness. None of them. The only law of Creator is have fun and create. But then next to that law becomes the conscious feeling, well, if you don't want something be done to you, don't do it to others. That's it. Well, here I'm showing you again that it is not very simple to explain truth, because you have to break all the boxes that you had to memorize and that your existence depends on. You have to come out of everything to be able to start correctly understanding the life and creation. Now, going back to brown spots, as we get older, we get dehydrated, we get toxic. Body starts vibrating differently. Dehydration is the major cause of aging. All the aging stuff is basically related to lack of plasma in the body. Even your connective tissue, it is going to shrink. Your skin is going to shrink and crease. Same like dry fruits. Just look at the old people, if they are not fat, because fat camouflages the dehydration. You cannot see it because fat fills in and boom, bubbles you up, and you don't really see this. But if you don't have these fat deposits, if you have a normal individual, as they age, as they dehydrate, they sink in and first start creasing around lip, then around the eyes, and then everywhere else. You smile a little bit and like dry skin and creases start appearing. Okay? So, we blame all kinds of stuff on this. And it's not true. It's just dehydration. And the dehydration causes rigid blood vessels. It is not glycation problem. The dehydration causes connective tissue to shrink and harden. It causes eye problems. You start seeing white protein fiber. It's not glycation, it's dehydration. Cirrhotic liver, cirrhotic lungs. Dehydration, not glycation. I'm not saying that glycation doesn't exist, but who cares? It's not causing any of this. Why do we get the dark spots? Well, we are dehydrated, we are toxic, and we are overloaded with sugar. And since body is trying to eliminate sugar, you'll try to urinate it because you have way too much of it because you are eating incorrectly, then starts to urinate it and pushes it through the skin. More dehydrated you are, less you will urinate, and it will have to go towards the skin. So the skin and subcutaneous tissue is going to have more sugar. And under influence of heat, not UVs, but heat of the sun, it is going to cause glycation, but glycation with all the other circumstances of much higher heat and the type of a tissue where it appears on, it may start also vibrating with a frequency that you see as brown spot. Pigmentation has nothing to do with this. Or again, why pigmentation occurs in general. Is it really because cells are creating pigment as a color, or is it the vibration? And under sun, it starts vibrating a little stronger, and because of its composition, it starts shifting into producing vibration of that color. I don't know for sure, but I am sure, for sure, that it is nothing from what we are being told through our science. Absolutely nothing. And can these brown spots, can we prevent them? Or, well, I will be 70 in a few months, and I don't have any brown spots, but when I was scratched by cat when I play, and then when sun hit it as an injured place, it turned into a brown spot. And always when you get injured, when skin is injured, you are being told, okay, don't expose it to the sun. Why? Because it is going to turn brown, at least the edges. So it's not problem of pigmentation. It is not problem of UVs. It is problem definitely related to dehydration, toxicity, and most likely increased level of sugar, and lot of dead protein that body does not need. It's a dead protein that has not been eliminated from the body. It's floating in. Macrophage does not know it has to take care of it, because the thing I cannot mention that cells should be producing is not being produced because we are in glucose state. And now you have extra protein floating around with extra sugar, and bingo, heat, bingo, you get it going. But it needs high heat for this. So it is not going to really happen in the blood vessel. So glycation is not causing problem of rigid blood vessels. The problem is caused by dehydration, as I have explained. I know one thing also for sure, that not only you can prevent brown spots, but you can get rid of them very easily by hydrating yourself and reducing the sugar in your diet. Now they say, oh, fructose has a much higher ability, much stronger ability to bond to protein. Says who? That's a bunch of nonsense. Majority of elderly people that have brown spots, they don't eat fruit. They barely eat, they barely drink. And when they eat, that's 100% of carbohydrates. And they get this stuff more than people that could eat meat. But I proved it on myself because I developed brown spots from injuries. And when I was eating sugar, when I was eating chocolate and stuff, not so much from chocolate, but actually when I was munching on potatoes and bread, then driving motorcycle, I didn't have glove and my hand was exposed to direct sun, and I got few brown spots on back of my hand. Well, now they are gone. They go away if you correct your diet, you hydrate, and I'm exposed to sun constantly. And no brown spots. So, stop visiting doctors, stop listening to science and scientific explanations. We are now in a process of freeing up ourselves from the cabal that controls us. And then finally, we can start using the Kugel properly and investigate properly how things happen and use alchemy, not chemistry. Because alchemy has truth, not chemistry. In alchemy, you can convert one thing into another. In chemistry, you can't. You can fuse and make a third compound. But that's imagination because it doesn't really happen. You are creating another thing. So, I don't know what else to tell you about this. Don't fear it. If you don't like it, correct your diet. If you don't know what to eat, follow Cell-Healer's protocol. Hydrate. Hydration is the most important at this time, especially because our bodies are receiving now activation codes from a central sun and our sun. And they're integrating with our so-called dormant DNA. And as we are activating, we are going to be changing our resonance, our bodies will change, we are going to shift. And for final shift, we are going to need very strong, energetic influx, which is going to happen through what we are calling sun flash, solar flash. Very strong solar eruption together with central sun eruption. They're going to come conjoined. Which Pleiadians are claiming is going to happen in this summer solstice, soon, around 20th of June. So don't be afraid, finally it's here. It's total liberation from the old system. Hopefully, as I understand it, we are going to liberate ourselves from Cabal just before this. And we will finally be a free race. But it's not yet, because we still think that we are being manipulated. And yeah, we are. Just new law is coming out here in Peru that every motorcycle driver will have to have his license plate copied on his helmet and have a vest in the back with his license number. Isn't this crazy? Isn't this crazy? And people say, okay, let's start building instead of going up and deal with these schmucks. Well, sheep remain sheep. I left Croatia because of sheep. I came to the United States to find another set of sheep. That's why I lived on a boat until Father told me, you gotta go to Peruvian jungle. This is your position for the shift. So here I am. And hopefully we are liberating ourselves and we will be free to use our powers and our kugels to create beautiful things. Well, thank you for listening. And I love you all. We are all in the same predicament. Where we go one, we go all. God bless us all. Namaste.